Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we re-diving deep into one of the most powerful and concise speeches ever delivered in the English language. Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address. You might have heard the famous line, "Government of the people, by the people, for the people." But have you ever stopped to think about the incredible context and enduring legacy of this 272-word masterpiece? Let's explore why this short speech, delivered in just over 2 minutes, has echoed through history for more than a century and a half. To truly appreciate the Gettysburg Address, we need to travel back to November 19, 1863. The American Civil War was raging. Just 4 months earlier, the Battle of Gettysburg had concluded as one of the bloodiest conflicts ever fought on American soil, with over 50,000 casualties. The Union victory was a crucial turning point, but the nation was deeply scarred, grieving, and exhausted by the relentless conflict. The purpose of the gathering that day was to dedicate a portion of the battlefield as the soldiers' national cemetery. It was a solemn occasion, a moment to honor the fallen and try to make sense of the immense sacrifice. Now, here's a fascinating detail. Lincoln wasn't even the main speaker that day. The keynote orator was a man named Edward Everett, a famous and respected speaker of the time. Everett delivered a powerful 2-hour oration full of classical references and historical detail. It was the kind of speech people expected. Then President Lincoln stood up. He was invited to offer just a few appropriate remarks. No one anticipated that his brief address would completely overshadow Everett's lengthy speech and become an immortal pillar of American democracy. In fact, Lincoln himself reportedly felt his speech was a flat failure. How wrong he was. So, what makes these 272 words so impactful? Let's break it down. Lincoln starts by looking back, not just to the start of the war, but to the very birth of the nation. He begins, "7 years ago our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal." By using 7 years, or 87 years, he's pointing directly to 1776 and the Declaration of Independence. He's reminding everyone that the Civil War wasn't just a political dispute. It was a test of whether that founding ideal of equality and liberty could actually survive. He framed the conflict as a struggle for the very soul of America. Next, Lincoln addresses the present moment, the dedication of the cemetery. But he does something brilliant. He says, "We cannot dedicate. We cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men, living and dead, who struggled here, have consecrated it far above our poor power to add or detract. This is pure humility and respect." He shifts the focus away from the ceremony and onto the soldiers themselves. He argues that their actions, their ultimate sacrifice, are what truly made the ground sacred. Words and rituals are secondary to their deeds. This wasn't about building a monument. It was about understanding the meaning of their sacrifice. And this leads to the speech's powerful conclusion, a call to action for the future. Lincoln urges the living to take up the unfinished work of the fallen soldiers. He doesn't want their deaths to be in vain. This is where he delivers the immortal line that has defined democracy for generations. He calls for a new birth of freedom and resolves that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. Let's unpack that. Of the people means the government's power comes from the citizens. By the people means the citizens themselves or their elected representatives run the government. And for the people means the government's purpose is to serve the interests of its citizens. Not the other way around, in these few words. Lincoln redefined the purpose of the Civil War. It was no longer just about preserving the Union as it was. It was now about creating a better, more inclusive Union, one that would live up to the promise of 1776. He connected the sacrifice of the soldiers directly to the survival and perfection of democracy itself. He gave their deaths a profound, universal meaning that transcended the battlefield. The speech transformed a ceremony of mourning into a powerful rallying cry for the future of freedom everywhere. The legacy of the Gettysburg Address is immense. It has been quoted by leaders, activists, and ordinary citizens around the world. It serves as a timeless reminder of the responsibilities that come with living in a democracy. It teaches us that freedom isn't free. It is earned and protected by the dedication of those who believe in its principles. Lincoln's brief remarks remind us that the work of democracy is never truly finished. Each generation has a duty to ensure that government of, by, and for the people continues to thrive. So, the next time you hear those famous words, remember the context. A nation torn by war, a field consecrated by sacrifice, and a president who, in just 2 minutes, gave voice to the enduring spirit of human freedom. Thank you so much for watching. What are your thoughts on the Gettysburg Address? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you won't miss our next video. See you next time.